Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the Pro Wrestling World Talk Scroll.
Hey everybody, one of our favorite segments, but now has become its own standalone show, is back. And I have less hair. Hi everybody, I'm PWW Talks host Daniel Burke, and I am always joined by my co-host and my co-pilot for this program, Mac. And of course, this is our kind of, I guess, B show, or I consider them all A shows or A plus shows.
Ooh, rare.
Triple A kind of rated shows. So really, you're welcome to the Scroll, which is not our real kind of weekly show where we talk about the things and kind of our mindsets of professional wrestling. This week we look at the PWW Talks, the Pro Wrestling World Facebook page, and we scroll some of the posts that people have made, whether they be controversial or whether they be lighthearted or whether they be factual. With sprinkled
I don't know. It might be zero.
Exactly, Dave. We don't know at this point. So, again, this is also a big segment within the community itself, especially with some of the writers, because they want to know if they're being talked about or not, and whether it's being done positively or negatively. And
we are totally talking shit.
We always do.
Yeah.
It's like, but you know what? We've never had like retaliation. I'm always hoping that someone like makes a response to our response. Like
a post. Yeah. Not just like tell us like you guys suck, but just like make a post.
Exactly.
About
make a post
us
about it.
Yeah.
So that way we could, that way that starts the game, and then we could just build a program out of it, and then we got to figure out how long we want to make it, But are we the heels? Are we the baby faces? How are we going to play this? Okay.
I think we're the heels, but that's just me.
Obviously, we're always the heels. Like that's how it is always on this program. Even Alf is a heel. Like that's how it works. Alf is a heel. Hi, Alf.
There he is. There's Alf.
The heel himself, always in the background lingering, right next to Michael Myers, the big tall one too. It's just like that's a new tag team for you. It's Michael Myers and Alf just teamed up together. Where actually how it would be is that he would just be like the talking. He would be the sidekick that would come up with all the wisecracking jokes while Michael is just destroying everything. So it would be like it would kind of be like the kid from.
Hold on. You know what it would be for me? I had kind of to say this because as soon as you said that, I thought of it. I feel like Alf would be the commentator during kills at the end, where Michael just basically straight up murders everybody in the town.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Myers kills someone with an iron. Oh, you had to took the wrinkles out of that one. Ha!
Oh shit.
It's just actually that's a good way to get Alf back. So that way you have Alf and like Elvira. Well, actually, what you do is because when Danhausen gets out of his AEW contract, he should go to WWE, and then Peacock should give him a show on Peacock, and they should just have him host like the old Universal library of like old like monster films and that type of stuff. And then you bring back Alf, and Alf is a sidekick, and it's just Alf and Danhausen watching like old horror films, then commenting on it. It would be great. It would be a great way to use.
I think we need to get
Danhausen.
some Elvira in there too. Just saying.
Yes, of course, Elvira. But like, because that's where we need to go. I mean, they do it with Shudder with Joe Bob Briggs. They got him doing it all, and the wonderful Darcy the Mail Girl, by the way.
Yes.
Who also ties in with professional wrestling very well, even though she is one of the biggest. Actually, I think she's the only female AEW fan I know of, to be quite honest. I don't, on record at least. I don't know many else.
Damn it, cornbread.
There may be a few out there, but we love Darcy the Mail Girl. We love Joe Bob Briggs here on PWW Talks.
We do. Yep.
So let's get started.
All right.
Let's see who we're going to lambast or agree with today.
You know what? I think some of the bigger news that came out early Monday and into Monday is the news that Samantha Irving is no longer with the company. So if you're going to be
yes,
was that. So let me.
Everybody's freaking out about a ring announcer and that their plans have changed.
Yep. This one is kind of funny because it was actually 4 hours ago. So I have it on the screen, but I'm going to read it from a different monitor because I can't read that small. So this is from The Prophet. Welcome back. I never know when you leave and come. Prediction: AEW Wrestling Wedding. With the internet destroying news, I'm already done. With the internet destroying news that Samantha Irving will be leaving WWE, we all generally assume that she might follow her fiance and superstar wrestling talent Ricochet over to the other premier wrestling company.
Superstar?
Dude, I mean,
Superstar.
dude. Not only did he say that, but he also called AEW premier. So just take that with a grain of salt. That's too easy. And I'm not the all-powerful pro wrestling prophet because I make easy prediction. I have gained the incredible stature I have with the internet wrestling community because I make the predictions that open the minds of wrestling fans. With that said, I am predicting that Ricochet and Samantha Irvin could have their wedding, or at least a wedding, in AEW. I think AEW would allow Samantha to open up even more as a character. It was a struggle with WWE just to let Samantha do her unique introductions, which everyone loved. Would you like to see a wrestling wedding in AEW for Samantha Irvin and Ricochet? Your thoughts, Dan?
I'm gonna even pretend that this even should even be discussed out there, because this should not.
Dan,
even
it worked
be,
so well when Triple
this
H
should not
drug Stephanie.
This should not even be discussed by anybody. Like, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be on a discussion. Like this shouldn't even be on the realm of anything. This is not a ratings grab for AEW. This would be a terrible ploy. I don't even think. Look, because of the praise that she got, Michael Buffer even commented on this. Michael Buffer, one of the top 4 or 5 ring announcers of all time in not only professional wrestling, but in professional sports. Him and his brother fight it out. Like, I sometimes think about it because Michael is excellent and made a lot of WCW matches feel fantastic, and a lot of world title matches in boxing feel fantastic as well. But Bruce with the UFC has given him a run for his goddamn money. And I gotta, it is really remarkable because he does have a way. And I've always said that now that they're under the same umbrella, they need to use Bruce Buffer for big time stuff. They might actually start doing that now because of the fact that there is now a vacancy within the company. And the fact that, and again, because somehow I'm a genius, I'm somehow able to circle everything back. It all rotates together. The fact is that you boo, but I'm right. The fact is that this should have no bearing on this product whatsoever. They have enough talented people. They've already gotten Lillian Garcia back, who did botch in her first night, but at the same time, you are still bringing back somebody I think that still has the ability to make things, because Lillian was a great ring announcer. She's going to continue to be a great ring announcer. And mistakes happen all the time. Samantha, I'm sure, but Samantha was excellent. Samantha can make a solid argument as one of the best ring announcers in WWE history. She's entered that in a relative short amount of time.
Yeah.
Wrestling is not her first love, right? This isn't her thing. This is not, it seems like
that she's... say that, honestly. I agree with what you're trying to say, though, but I think it is.
It's not her top priority.
Correct. That's the best way to say it.
It's
not her top.
I think it's a love. It's not a top priority.
Right.
Fact is, she has a great voice. She has a name for herself. She's probably got some connections, and I'm sure also everybody in the company loves her. The way that she walked herself out the door. if she decides that if things don't work out at certain points, she might want to come back. Of course, she might want to go to the other company and get overpaid by a couple of $1 million, even though, like, maybe it would. I don't know. I'm not going to really comment on that. I think I understand the idea of it, but I just think it's completely ridiculous
Yeah.
to even like bring this up of just like, well, we're going to make this. No, what are you talking about? No, we're not doing that at all.
Yeah. First of all, she's not going. Ricochet
No.
kind of confirmed that in social media. Additionally,
She might be prego too. I've heard the pregnancy
no,
rumors.
according to
It might, I don't know. It might be zero.
according to him, it is what I thought it was when I discussed it with you and this guy
Boo ran.
earlier. That it is to focus on her music, which was my hope, because I know that was something that she really obviously enjoyed doing. I don't think WWE is going to give her the time needed to pursue that. Was also my understanding from what Meltzer had reported. So I, this is the one thing that I'll actually trust Dave on. But good luck to her, honestly, and I think it does leave an opportunity maybe down the road for a return. But
Yes.
moving on, you mentioned Lillian Garcia. So somebody else did talk about that, so we'll go to that one next. Excuse me. This one is by Uncle Evan. Lillian Garcia confirms that she's back full-time as WWE's Monday Night Raw announcer. Lillian took to social media to confirm last night's appearance was more than just a one-off. Here's what she had to say. Well, now you know. Oh my gosh, guys, did it just happen? Did I really just go back to WWE after being gone for like 8 years? I mean, I've popped in every now and then, but it's been 8 years since I've been a full-time announcer. My goodness, when my music hit and I got introduced, the cheers and applause that you all gave me tonight, thank you for that. Because I was nervous. I could even tell I was nervous when I was announcing, but it's all worth taking a risk and a gamble and being excited and just coming back, seeing everyone like WWE superstars, my friends, the crew, and I'm excited. I'm strapping on my seatbelt for that. But Sam, I do want to tell you, I think you're an extraordinary talent and you're unbelievable. And I know it wasn't easy to walk away from here, and I wish you all the success in your music career. So again, Lillian confirms that as well. I know
Yes.
you're going to kill it. Okay, WWE Universe, I look forward to seeing you, signing your autographs, giving you high fives, and all that. I love you. I'm back home. So Uncle Evan goes on to say, it's awesome to see Lillian back. She was the voice of the whole era in wrestling, and you can tell she was excited to be back in her role, so I'm happy for her. Yes, she made a couple of minor errors, but I am sure that was all nerves and will be remedied quickly in the coming weeks. What did you guys think about the return of Lillian Garcia to replace Samantha Irvin? Let us know.
I mean, I don't. Again, it's good to have her back, but again, it's a minor thing.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's just.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this in your last comments. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's worth telling. I think that wrestling is so, it's funny to say this term, but it's so mainstream again that even small things of like who's announcing the matches matters. And in the days of social media, it matters that much more because more of these things get noticed.
Right.
The last thing I'll say here is that I think you're going from one female GOAT announcer to the other.
Of course.
I think Lillian is a phenomenal talent. She was back then as well. And I'm happy she's back, and I'm happy that the role is going to get filled in somewhat of a seamless transition here. So,
Yeah, it's just it's nice that that people are coming back, that were kind of shown the door maybe prematurely or a few years before they were really kind of ready to kind of retire, or what's a good word? Because Howard could have done a couple of more years, things of that, but there was always this, how would they look on television? And that was it. So it was really two guys that would always make that decision of just, I need to brush things up. And those guys are gone. So now they're kind of able to look at it and say, okay, even if she's older, it doesn't matter because the voice is still there. Like, it shouldn't matter because it really shouldn't, like, how a person looks on TV if they announce the matches, because again, it's about the voice. It's not about what you look like. I always hated ring announcing too, I'll be honest. And I've done it and it sucks. And it's a really tough gig. And I've always kind of respected the people that are really good at it because I was not good at it. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at having to be able to go out there and project my voice to that extent. I am good at a controlled environment. Or not, I can talk in front of a crowd, mind you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you're good at talking
it's-
versus
it's-
like
yeah,
announcing.
it's-
There is a
Yeah,
difference.
it's just, you give me a script, right? I can, because I was working on one earlier. But I can work, but I can at least stay tuned for that, folks. But at least in the end of it, I am using my own words in the end. Where, like, when you're a ring announcer, it's just like you have to project, you have to deal with fans at certain points. Too, and it's just it's hard because you're looking at notes. And let's say you don't use glasses because they don't really help. How many comments I heard from people, I'm just like, it was the worst. But at the same time, I just didn't feel comfortable in that role, didn't feel comfortable in that spot. So I always respected the ones that kind of been able to excel, especially female ones. That's even going to be harder because you're in a male-oriented industry. And again, you might have to deal with some drunk people in the first fucking 5 or 6 rows. And you're out there the whole fucking night for 4 or 5 hours. So some fucking jerk off is going to say something off kilter because he's had a few fucking too many. And you got to hear with it. And then you got to go out there and grit your teeth while you're hearing obscene shit that is being talked about you in a sexual nature, and have to be out there and be like, I knew! Like, that's a tough fucking gig.
Well, you mentioned looks before, which I don't know what I think of, but then you started kind of talking about this as being a female ring announcer. I'm sure that there are people that put stock in that too, as a female that's in the wrestling ring, especially those of us that remember what went on during the Attitude Era, that looks were very important.
Yes.
And, it goes without saying that Lillian herself kind of was in the tail end of that Attitude Era to the point where it was still important. People forget, we didn't always have women champions. We had divas champions.
Yes.
That train wreck of an era for the women talent. And, Samantha is a very gorgeous woman. Lillian is also a very gorgeous woman.
Yes,
So
Vanna
Lillian's the
White
best.
is still
Yeah,
Vanna White's still in Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Right? Vanna White's still presenting Wheel of Fortune. That show's been on the air for 40 years. So if she's able to still be able to do it and still be able to present herself and the public is just like not embarrassed, like, just put her out there. Like, it's not like we're talking about someone that looks like she's that she has any physically wrong with. Is she a little older? Yeah, but that doesn't mean jack shit. Doesn't. If she's still got the pipes, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and I'm not talking about that's the thought process of TKO, because it's not. Because TKO is pretty much just saying, I don't care about your age. I don't care what, what you're going to be perceived as old. Who gives a shit? Like, it's about really the impact that you're going to be able to make on the industry. We know you're going to be able to do it, and we know you're going to be able to present it well, and people are going to take it seriously. Might be a short-term thing until they get somebody they feel comfortable with, because, Netflix is just around the corner, so they want to kind of have a familiar voice too. You got Saturday night's main event coming up, which is going to be a big deal. So there's all this stuff kind of rolling around right now where they kind of want to be able to get maybe some familiar voices out there to kind of let people know, hey, look, we're really trying to take a mainstream swing here. Like, we're trying to make, people care about this thing and make it seem like the biggest thing in the world, because everything I'm hearing, they're treating Saturday night's main event like a pay-per-view.
Well, it doesn't
So this
surprise me at
thing,
all.
so I feel like now that because there was no pay-per-view set for December. It's set now, and it's going to be Saturday night's main event. Like that, they're treating this thing like it is going to be like 1985. Like, I expect it, it should be. Exactly. And Vince never treated it that way when they brought it back in 06. And that was the problem I had, because they pretty much treated it like an afterthought. And I was just like, you can't do that. Like, you can't. Like, you're back on this. You got to be able to capitalize. And I just remember I watched the first one, and that was it. I was like, they're not going to take this seriously, so I'm not either.
Yep.
And they did. And I feel like now that it's going to be different, because I feel like they're going to put a lot of money at this thing. Apparently they got Jesse Ventura coming back. So it's like they are really trying to make a push, and they're going to try to grab every familiar face, or familiar voice for that matter, for maybe someone to be like, holy shit, what's going on with WWE right now?
Yep. As they should. Not for nothing.
Yep. 100%.
We talked a little bit about, looks, but we also talked a little bit about age right there. So I want to jump down to Motor City Machine Guns. So they just debuted. I thought it was a good segue, because so far we've had two good segues.
No, very, very good. Yes.
Yeah. So this one is. Thank you, Title Slip. This one, not so much just about age per se, but also the perception of age and age across both promotions. So this one's by Stone Cold Oh No. WWE hypocrisy, the double standard of aging talent. And I think this is more to the fans, I feel like, than anybody else, but we'll get through this together, I guess. WWE fans love to criticize AEW for signing veterans past their prime, setting a declining performance and stale acts. However, when WWE signs similar talent, the same fans turn a blind eye. Case in point, WWE signing of the Motor City Machine Guns, misread that for a second. Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, both are well into their 40s with noticeable declines in athleticism, yet WWE fans barely batted an eye. Meanwhile, AEW signing a veteran Adam Copeland, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley draw fierce criticism for being over the hill. The double standard is mind-blowing. The bias stems from tribalism and confirmation bias. Okay, buddy. WWE fans defend their brand, ignoring inconsistencies. They focus on AEW's supposed flaws while dismissing WWE's similar moves. Fact is, both promotions sign veteran talent for various reasons: name value, experience, and nostalgia. Aging wrestlers can still contribute, providing valuable mentorship and occasional memorable matches. Rather than hypocritically criticizing AEW, WWE fans should acknowledge the shared practice of signing veteran talent. Consistency in criticism would lend credibility to their arguments. Stop trying to use big words, dude. The real question, are fans genuinely concerned about talent quality, or just eager to bash the competition? Stone Cold Oh No. My guy, trying to use big words that people don't understand or just confuse people. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, the brass tacks that people need to realize here, because everybody's going to sit here on paper. On paper, everybody looks at this signing and says, they're washed. Why are you even doing this? Yeah, okay. This is not the Motor Machine Guns of 2009, 2010, and TNA, where you can argue they were the best tag team in the world.
Yeah.
You can make that argument. Now, I still say they're an excellent tag team that can put on a great match at any point. WWE needs a veteran presence in their tag team division to be able to stabilize things, to kind of get everybody kind of caught up and to also be able to bring some name value and bring some prestige back to the tag team division and also the tag team championships as well. Because I'm going to say it's gotten better under Triple H. It's gotten a lot better. For one thing, it's they're two tag team for each division, each show. And they have been able to have both shows have compelling tag team kind of storylines for the championships, which at one point in the last decade, maybe 2 decades, you can say, they weren't doing that all the time. And they have really kind of brought prestige back, especially what the Usos did in the last couple of years, of years before this.
100%.
And the fact that the tag team championship, the undisputed version, headlined WrestleMania last year, night 1.
Yeah.
So they have brought it back to a level of it's something to fight for again. So bringing the Motor City Machine Guns in, yes, it helps you. It helps bolster the future, and it also helps your credibility now and what you're trying to be able to build prestige and build legacies again. And also this fulfills another resume thing for them because they know this is their probably last run and they want to be able to check this off their list, which they should. They have every right. They did what AJ did. AJ wanted to check this off his list, and he did. And it worked out great. He was champion at one point for over a year. Like they are able to treat TNA guys well. So,
listen,
or perceived TNA guys. Sorry.
I mean, there's a couple things here to unpack. First of all, I think a lot of people, especially our age, remember the Attitude Era when you had a lot of great tag teams. You had Edge and Christian, you had the Hardys, you had APA after a little bit.
The Dudleys.
Exactly, because I couldn't place them, so I had to put APA first.
Those damn Dudleys.
Yep. And you had a lot of other teams that were great. It doesn't feel that way anymore. And I feel like they're doing this also because they've gotten so far away from the tag titles in general lately that it's like, it's good to bring this kind of tournament back and have them actually defended on TV again. Because you're not doing that right now.
No, you're not.
You're not having them on the PLEs barely at all. You have the women tags, and arguably they need to figure that out too, in my opinion, but that's besides the point. I don't think that takes anything away from the tag teams that have come before, whether that be the Usos, whether that be Sammy and KO this past year, whether that be other tag teams that have come since. But it lacks that definitive top couple of names. I think this gives them that. And to your point, this gives Motor City Machine Guns a little bit more to be like, yeah, we checked that off our box. And is there a decline like Stone Cold Ono says in his post? Yeah, sure, but they still look pretty damn good to me.
They do.
Are they a little bit clunky here and there? Yeah, absolutely. But they still look pretty damn good in their debut,
They do.
I thought.
They do.
And I want to touch on this and not make it just about the machine guns. Obviously, it kind of is, but talking about the tribalism that Stone Cold Ono is kind of throwing out here and the confirmation bias and everything. Edge is already over 50 at this point. Did he still have something in the tank, though? Yeah, absolutely. Was I mad when AEW signed him? No, I was happy for him, Adam Copeland, because I know he still thought he wanted more to do. And looking at what he did before he got hurt, I didn't hate it. I thought his feud with Christian was phenomenal. And Christian's another guy that's over 50.
I am.
Yeah, I know you don't like Christian.
No. I think Christian's had a very good run in AEW. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
I think him being a world champion for them in the cards makes all the sense in the world.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like he's just kind of directionless right now, just because of the fact that it's
Well,
just like
the thing is, I'm not
you know.
talking about that as much as we're talking about wrestlers being older. Like the
But
older
no,
guys.
there's a difference here in the sense of that Edge and Christian, well, Copeland and Christian both,
Whatever. Yeah, he's Edge.
they're able to, like, Christian's able to work a style now where it's just like he's barely in the ring, but he's got so much heat. Like, he's been able to figure it out where it's just like he's not having to take real bumps, and he's just also able to kind of just, people are going to pay to see me take bumps.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where he's at for his career, where Edge is just like he just wants to prove he can go with the kids still. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I agree, but I also disagree because I think the time that he lost makes him feel that way. Truthfully.
That's, well, no, and he has every right to think that way. I'm not, when Copeland signed with them, I was not mad at all.
No, me either.
Because there's certain guys to me that just have a free pass. He's one of them.
He is. Absolutely.
He's done enough in the industry where it's in the company for WWE where it's just like you get a free pass. Christian gets a free pass too. And plus a lot of the stuff that he's done has been really, really good. And I can't really kind of go against, kind of make an argument for them. Jericho, I can. I can't really with Copeland and with Christian.
But
And I won't.
It's funny you mentioned Jericho because that was one of the names I was thinking of. I wanted to keep it on post though with what he wrote, and one of the names he mentioned was Shelton Benjamin. Shelton is pushing 50, and
I mean,
barely
hey,
ever
look.
on TV anyways.
Again, this is like him signing with AEW too, and they're bringing in Lashley, who's also pushing 50.
I think he is 50.
I mean,
but yeah,
which I'm not. Again, I don't hate this Bobby Lashley signing. My problem is that what's it all going to lead to? Like, get me interested and get me like, because
you and I are on the same page because that was my next statement too.
they're going to sign these guys and no one cares.
That's the thing.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the difference. Like,
That is 100%.
Motor City Machine Guns on paper, there is a good portion of the wrestling audience right now that probably look at those guys and they're just like, but then with the invention, because of the fact they're smart and they kind of let people know that they were coming, these people now have had a chance to go and kind of look things up and figure out who these guys are.
Yep.
And kind of get because they're smart and
They
promoting
popped
things.
the crowd.
Yeah,
They popped the crowd in their debut
because the
People didn't know
fans.
them.
Yes, because if you kind of book it well enough and you're able to kind of sell it long enough, and also because of the fact too that you have this working relationship with TNA Wrestling, so people now are able to kind of get an understanding of what's going on with TNA. So all of a sudden they're just like, oh, Motor City Machine Guns are from TNA. Wow, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Like, again, because WWE did it right. I feel like they did it right with, like, Motor City Machine Guns are in the company one night, and it's like, wow, they booked them perfectly.
So hold on.
Okay.
So speaking of that, right? Speaking of the fact that they were on TV once, which is fine because they signed them to a contract. Let's be real. But what I'm gonna say here is this: how much merch also are Motor City Machine Guns gonna sell versus Bobby Lashley versus Shelton Benjamin, Adam Copeland? It's not an Edge shirt; it's an Adam Copeland shirt. They're gonna sell merch. I don't think AEW sells merch with that talent that they've signed lately. The older veteran talent, as Stone Cold O'No is saying. I just don't. Maybe they sell a little bit, but it's going to drop off. This isn't going to drop off.
I don't think they've really done. I don't think they even think about that. They're not a company.
Oh, I
that
don't
thinks
think
about that.
I don't think they do either. But
No, they're a company that, like, because they're just a different kind of breed in how they think. I mean, look, I don't fault any of them for going either. It's like, look, I'm not getting re-signed or I've gotten released, so why don't I just go here? They're going to pay me, and blah blah blah. They're going to pay me this much money, and yeah, maybe I'll get some. Like apparently MVP and Jericho have talked things out because they had some heat. MVP, like the first night he signed with the company, he went and saw Jericho out, and they talked stuff out. So
Yeah, I heard that.
he's done all the right things.
Yeah.
And I don't. And again, it's not like I sit here and I'm like, oh, none of these guys are going to be effective in AEW. It's not on them if it's not.
Right.
Like, if they are a bad signing, it's not like every talent that they have signed. There's been a few of them that it has been on them, and then there has been a few of them that it hasn't been. Adam Cole, I really don't think it has been. I think he's just been kind of snake bitten.
Yeah.
But I look at Copeland. Copeland was booked very well. I look at Christian, booked very well. Jericho kind of booking his own stuff.
Yeah. But there are other guys too that have gone over that. You mentioned Adam Cole, and there are others like Buddy Matthews and Aleister Black and all them too. That Miro's another one. That just
Then there's
booked
ones
with
that
the
are
damn-
that are on the company, and it's just like we're on the talent. People
that's Keith Bree. Yeah,
apparently he's got long-term health issues, which I guess
but he
back
didn't
from
when he
his
first
original-
signed.
I guess I don't know. Like I don't know. I
I
try
mean, if you
to.
want to call that snake bit too, then you can call that snake bit. I would argue.
I'm looking at it as snake bit, but also there is some things that he could have done to kind of
Okay.
help him.
So I will go with Miro as well here because I do think part of it's on the company, but I also do think part of it's on him.
That's a 50-50 deal.
I agree, 100%.
That's a 50-50 deal. I think that he should be more
Open.
losing a match nowadays really shouldn't matter. Like it just shouldn't matter.
I think
like,
it's
and
to
just-
who he lost to, though.
Yeah, and it's just, but that's the thing.
Or I
It's
shouldn't
like,
say that who they booked him to lose to.
yeah, it's just like, but he's got the power to say no. It's like, since fucking when?
Well, at
Like,
that point, that's on Tony too. That's the whole thing.
like that's the thing that I have. It's like you can't just step. You're the guy cutting his check. Like you can say no.
Like,
and
okay,
say,
I'm not
"You're gonna
paying
do
you
this."
then.
Yeah. Instead, like you can pay him now per appearance. Like you can do it per diem. Like you can do that contract. He's an independent contractor. You can just tell him to fuck off and go buy anytime you want. And he's not doing that.
It's funny you say that
it's
because it
just-
makes me lose faith in their contract, purpose anyways. Because if you're just going to pay the guy to sit at home, like, how do you not have something in the contract that stipulates, like, okay, you can stay at home and I'll keep paying you, but you have to add the time back or something to that extent? It just baffles me.
It does, and it's just like that's so much money out the door because you got to be paying Miro at least 7 figures,
Easily.
or at least like the mid to high 6. So, and it's just so that's
from 7, but yeah, could be. Who knows?
that's the tough part.
Yeah.
That's the tough part for me to kind of just sit there and be like, I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know.
All right, let's move on. Let's see. What else do we have left? So this one. Another wrinkle here. But this one is by G. I don't think we've ever read on any of these. If we did, it was like once. So G, what do you got for us? Can't wait for Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. WWE has been trying to get this match booked all year. It was originally supposed to be a part of the Elimination Chamber show, but due to multiple reasons, it didn't end up happening. Triple H has kept this match a priority, and for good reason. The build-up so far in this feud has been a ton of fun. Bronson put Seth on the shelf. Seth came back and screwed Bronson. They've both been itching to get in squared circle with one another, where last night the two forced Adam Pearce's hand and finally booked a match. I have no doubt this rivalry will see multiple matches, and I have high expectations for them. It's going to be fun round number 1 at Crown Jewel. What are your thoughts on Reed and Rollins' feud so far?
It's obvious that they're trying to get Bronson Reed over big time.
Oh yeah.
So they're putting.
Oh yeah.
So they are putting him up against somebody that they know are going to be able to get him the fuck over. And Seth's the guy you want to put him up against.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like this is a way now where you can say to this kid, "All right, it's sink or swim. Show us what you can do."
Yeah.
And this is the time in his career right now where it's, if there's any inkling or there's anything that is holding him back, he needs to get out of his system and he needs to do it now. Because this is going to now make his entire this cements his whole future.
Yeah.
The next decade and a half, his career.
I'm gonna
This
sum
right
up
here.
real quick.
This is it.
The torch feud.
This is it.
This is a torch feud because, as Dan literally just said 5 seconds ago, this is that type of match. This is that type of feud. You're not only booking this in a high profile feud, most likely, because I don't think it's going to be a match. I think it's going to be a feud.
I do too.
And and I have to say this too, you just got off of the heels of a great finish to CM Punk and Drew McIntyre feud.
Yes.
That was a very high profile feud. This is the exact same thing as that. That's what it's going to turn into.
I love you.
I love you.
Oh yeah.
This really is a torch feud, though. This is Seth Rollins is going to give him the torch. Good night, Stephanie.
Max says good night. Good night.
Okay, cool. But yeah, this is that torch feud. It really is. Like, whatever happens here, as you said, as well as you could, obviously. And I don't think there's any way to say it better.
I don't know if it's a passing of the torch. What I say is it's like,
I think it is for his career. Is my point.
You're right.
Not just from Seth to Bronson, even though that could happen. I think it's like, hey, kid, it's your time.
Yeah, it's just pretty much saying, kid, look, it's on you now. Like, we're giving you all the steps in the world to get you to where you need to be. So you need to be able to go. I firmly expect Bronson Reed to get the first one. I firmly expect it. They want to try to get to, and it's going to be clean. They want to just try to get this kid over and be able to get that shock win out of the way, because it doesn't hurt Seth.
No, it doesn't.
Seth losing does not hurt him whatsoever. Him losing to Bronson puts him, and plus now it also builds Seth up, because Seth is like,
redemption
you couldn't beat Damian Priest. Like, maybe it's time. And then Bronson, I don't know if he can do an injury angle. Maybe because he just came back from an injury. But
so hold on. I think what they should do with Seth is do exactly what they did, like 3 years ago at 38? Cody was supposed to be his redemption arc.
Yes.
That never happened. And then they kept building, even prior to facing Cody, they built up this loss record, quote unquote. Let's be real. And after that, up until the point where he got the World Heavyweight Championship, it was like his redemption. He was down on his luck, wasn't winning, big matches or whatever. And then he had that whole redemption arc in getting a World Heavyweight title again. And as we like to say on a different show, he was over as fuck, even though he wasn't champion.
Yes.
Because people were engaged with that. And that was the whole thing. So honestly, I think they should revisit that. Truthfully. Because they can now do it in such a way that's not going to be as obvious that that's what they're doing. And we've seen that in these feuds lately. I mentioned CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And literally, again, didn't matter who won or lost, really. And I'm not going to say it's going to matter here either. I think Bronson, like you said, should win, though. But I don't think a loss is going to hurt him either. And it's, what do they do after, regardless, right?
If
he does lose, go ahead.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Well, I was going to say you can make it like the Bret Hart and Steve Austin thing
Yeah,
in like Survivor
exactly.
Series '96, where
You read my mind.
Bronson has him beat, but then all of a sudden Seth somehow pulls it off.
Yeah, you literally
Yeah,
read
you
my
know
mind.
that angle works.
It does.
For the first one, but I think the second you have to have Bronson at least get a convincing victory.
I
Like if
agree.
you're going to do 3, you at least have to get him the second one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
the third one, of course, you have Seth go over, but you kind of need to be able, like, because you need to be able to set this guy up.
Yep.
And you need to be able to set him up positively.
Yeah. I don't know what else you can say about that.
No, I don't either. Like, pretty much it's just one of those feuds where it's just like, all right, kid, like, this is what you got to do.
I mean,
You ready?
I just, I keep referencing that match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and the entire feud in general. And
Yes.
this really could be what Bronson Reed needs to really solidify them where they want him to be.
I agree. 100%.
All right, man. Whittling it down. So what we got next? I'm just going to play it by ear at this point. The Wyatt 6. Okay, so this one by French Sheen, Monday Night Raw update. This was yesterday for us. Who knows when you're listening to this or watching this. The Wyatt 6 are back. First up on their radar are the Final Testament. Miz is not paying attention, almost met his demise until Paul Ellering received a mandible claw in his place. The rest of the Wyatt chasing AOP, carrying Cross and Skyroot through the arena, and Howdy standing tall center of the ring. How did you feel about this kind of segment? I feel like they built it lately, but I always felt that they were talking about the Miz, and I have no idea what just happened to that shit. So hold on one second. All right, but yeah, I don't know, like the whole Miz thing. I don't know what's up with my shit now, but not sorry. The
What?
whole Miz thing, like fucking picture, whatever. Anyways, the whole thing I thought was like, oh, the Miz, whatever. But then he comes out, hanging out with Final Testament, and then the Wyatt 6 come in and just, okay. Like, it just didn't do anything for me, like the feud with, American Made?
Yeah, at this point, it's just, it's very hodgepodgey.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't understand what they're doing here. It's like a very, like, okay, so who am I rooting for? Who are we not rooting? Because it's like 3, like, is the Wyatt 6 the baby faces? Because they shouldn't be, but they are. American Made. Where's the what? Like,
Yeah.
it's very hard to kind of decipher who to kind of look at, and now it's like Judgment Day, and now the Miz is working with, well, not Judgment Day, but the Final Testament.
Yeah.
Final Testament and the Miz are now working together. Okay, where did that come from?
Yeah, and earlier, before this,
Wasn't the Final Testament trying to break up Xavier Woods and Kofi
yeah,
Kingston?
which is what I was gonna say, because the match right before all this occurred was AOP versus the New Day.
Yes, which the New Day won because
Yeah,
apparently, which
it's just,
I
the whole
don't know what's
situation
going
is
on.
just weird. Yeah, I think it's because it's like a like for like number of people is why they're doing this. I feel like, like other than that, I can't really think of a valid reason why they would want to go this route.
I can't either.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, we'll move on from that. I think The Rock is next. Yep. So King MDM. The Rock is the only wrestler to headline WrestleMania in front of a live crowd in 4 different decades: the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s. Undertaker is also main evented in 4 different decades, but his final match, the Boneyard match against AJ, was a taped cinematic match.
Fair, but still.
Yeah, I trust me, I don't disagree. Love it or hate him, you can't argue The Rock's drawing power and buzz he brings. He is the most electrifying man in wrestling. Sports entertainment, fucko.
It's hard to disagree.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we know the stats. Like I get the stats. Like I get it.
I guess the reasoning for me to
headlined.
select this one was like, okay, why do we need
Alright.
to talk about this?
Why does this get brought up?
Yeah, I mean, if this post was like
Okay.
right after, what was
Mania.
no,
Yeah.
not even Mania, but you know, a couple weeks ago, then okay.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
Right
like-
after he came back, it's
Yeah.
like, all right.
I think this was like 2 days ago. That's why I'm like, okay,
What?
a day ago. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like
Okay.
is this like some kind of anniversary that I don't know about? That you need to
I
bring this
have
up
no
now,
idea.
Or? Okay, all right.
It's just
yeah.
a random time to bring it up. It's like, all right,
Yeah,
well,
that's what I'm getting at.
glad you mentioned it, but still,
Thanks for playing.
all right.
I'm gonna get my post in now. That's basically what that was.
Okay.
I'm gonna dial it in about The Rock.
All right.
All right.
You
All
go,
right. So,
you go, dude. All
yeah,
right.
exactly. So this one's by Manny. Look, I like to clown on AEW a lot, but some of the hate they receive is definitely forced. They have the hands down best weekly content we can access on television. Storytelling has increased significantly within the last year. Oh my god, Manny! It appears TK
It's not
finally
forced,
learned.
Manny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can tell you what's not forced is my laughter at this post.
No.
It appears that TK finally learned what advertising was. He's given us advertisements for matches weeks ahead. Wow, is that a good thing? Oh, God. I'm crying. At the end of the day, AEW has one of the best rosters in all wrestling. And I give Tony Khan credit.
Does technically, yeah, on paper.
Yeah, on paper. And I give Tony Khan credit for not letting all unwarranted hate get him in the past few years. He's done better job than Bischoff, Russo, or Cornette would have ever done. Have a fabulous day, jabronis. By Manny.
Thanks, Manny.
Oh, thanks for that laugh. I needed that. Holy shit.
Fucking Manny being Manny, are you? Jesus.
I think it was.
It's got to be Manny Ramirez. It's the only way that I could come up with that someone would write that, because Manny's crazy. So he's got to be writing that. So Manny Ramirez is a AEW fan. All right.
It's a mark.
Who knew?
He's a mark. Listen.
Best right-handed hitter I've ever seen. But shit.
Yeah,
the hell?
that dude was sitting in the fucking scoreboard when he was playing defense, so I don't know. Listen, I mean, I feel like that professor from Billy Madison, what you have said here is the stupidest thing ever. Everybody who listened to it is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points. And may God,
And may
bless your
God
soul.
have mercy on your soul. This
Oh,
is
man.
it is true, because you can look at this and just, I mean, I'm looking at Manny's whole thing here, and I'm just like, I think you may need to be committed. Like,
You
I
need
think
to-
it's close. It's close. It's now at that point where it's just like, or you need to go outside more. One of the two.
Please go touch grass.
Just go outside.
Touch
you
it.
know, enjoy yourself. Touch grass, maybe. I don't know.
You know,
What is
it's-
this?
I was gonna say glasses. He needs
The hate is
glasses.
forced.
Yeah.
The hate is forced. Where are his glasses? He needs his glasses.
The goggles, they do nothing. Oh my
Where are his
God.
glasses? He needs his
All
glasses.
right. All right, I'm sorry, Homer. Shit. Oh my god, I don't even have the words. I think we may just have to end it here because holy shit. I don't know if I can
Well,
continue
there's
for that dog
Yes.
shit.
Well, if we can't continue after this, because it is a riot, it is like pure comedy gold. It's like how can we go on? How can we go on from here? Like,
Yeah, I literally, I think we have to because we have to get to like a couple more here at least.
yes, but this
oh,
is
man.
good. This might be one of my favorites of the week, just because of how comical it is. Like, this is like, he should work for Hollywood of how funny this is.
Hey Dave, can you tell me how many stars this was?
It might. I don't know. It might be 0.
Yeah, I think you're right.
He has to say that because the
Oh.
check hasn't cleared. So, you think they'd allow him to get fucking Mary Maids or something like that at his house? Like, he's getting enough money from AEW. It's like, oh, you just can't send him a maid service or something, clean up. especially that office.
Yeah, I
That
was gonna
office-
say throw out half his shit in the office.
Holy God. It's like, do you really need, we're in a digital age, Dave. Do you really need issues from 1982? Like, seriously, why do you have a backlog? It's just like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, whatever.
All right. We'll kill some of these because I don't think we're gonna get to all of these now. We'll do the Michael Cole one here. Stone Cold Ono reporting that Michael Cole has signed a new long-term contract to remain the voice of WWE. He has been with WWE for nearly 30 years and missed only 3 shows in that time. I believe it's up to 4 now after Monday. That's okay.
Yes.
Michael is on a very well-earned vacation in Mexico, I heard, so good for him. I rank up right there with the likes of Jim Ross and his prime. I think he means to say I rank him up there because my
Yes.
guy, I've never heard you announce, and I don't think I want to.
Yeah.
This man, however, loves the business, and he is going to be missed when he retires eventually. Wow, way to put like a negative spin on that. Great post.
Very. It is a very.
I'll miss him
he's
when
going to
he's
retire
gone.
eventually.
But he's in a
I'll
good
miss him when he's
contract.
gone, but I'm glad he's now back. He's
Ugh.
still with the company. It's like, oh, you're already counting down the days till his contract's up? Come on.
So visit our Facebook page where we like to turn things that should be relatively positive into somewhat less meaningful and negative.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's just like at the end of that, it's just like, I can't wait till his contract's up. Really?
Yeah.
I never thought I would be saying in this, because God, 10 or 12 years ago, I wanted him out. I would have thrown him out the door, especially as a heel. That was the
I
worst.
hated when he was a heel.
I hated
Oh my
it
God.
so much because I already just felt like he was passable. He was just okay. I never thought he was great until they put him with Pat McAfee. Then I was like, there's something there. And then as soon as Vince got fired, no longer was an ear. It's like, so he's for the last 2 years.
I
he is
call that the
really
choke chain.
phenomenal.
I don't even call
It's
that
like-
in his ear. I
yeah.
call it the choke chain.
Yeah, the
'Cause-
choke chain was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've heard the audio. I've heard the audio of him
Yelling
with
at him.
Vince and just him getting yelled at and just him being like, okay, sir, like he doesn't have to worry about it now. I'm surprised he even stuck it out that long of just getting yelled at. Just like every fucking week. Mick Foley couldn't even take it. That's why he quit in 2008.
I know. I remember.
Like some guys it's just, and he would, and I still remember CM Punk when it was just like, oh, could I just put him on mute? Where's the mute button?
Yeah.
I don't know. We've never put it on. All right, I'm going to put him on mute. And he just put him on mute. And Vince never did anything. Like, what was he going to do? Like, but
He can't do
He's-
anything because all he would say would be like, oh, I didn't know that was there. God damn it.
yeah, exactly. But for 2 years, Michael Cole has been excellent. But even before that, when he was working with Pat McAfee, it's like he came into it became a completely different announcer. And, for the better. And, it's kind of like how Joe Buck was. I couldn't stand Joe Buck for years. In recent times, I don't hate him as much. Like, I think
You know what it is?
he's
It's-
okay. He's good.
I'm not even going to say that, man. You know what it is? And I feel like Michael Cole has developed this over time. It's the art of the call.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I like to call it because it's if you think back to like especially when like JR was announcing and he was with Jerry Lawler, you might remember some of the funny shit that Jerry Lawler said, right?
Right.
But you don't remember a big Jerry Lawler call during a big match. You
No.
remember JR. You remember like so cold, so cold, so cold. Like, yeah, listen, we might mean that a lot, but for the time period, that was a huge call. It's like Gino
was.
Capoletti and I forget the broadcast partner at this point because Jesus Christ, it's
Gil
been so long.
Santos.
Gil Santos, thank you. Gil Santos
Yep.
with the call. Get the duck boats ready.
Yes.
Like you remember these things because of how iconic that was, and over time, Michael has definitely come into that a lot more than I would say even Jim Ross at times. Because with Jim Ross, it was just repetition. Cole gets like into the match, and it's a different atmosphere. It's a different vibe where he did not really have that. Like with Vince,
He didn't.
you're gonna be a heel. God damn it!
It's a completely different vibe with him now, and it's like the same thing with Joe Buck, where I look at because I the thing about it was too, the reason why I didn't like Joe Buck was I was just like, well, I'm better than he is. Like I should be in a spot.
remember that.
A lot of it is it's the jealousy because
Yeah,
it's just
I
like,
get it.
oh, he's in a spot that I'm not in, and it's like, but I look at him and I look back at Super Bowl 51 where he was great.
Yep.
I look back at the Red Sox and the World Series that they won where he was great. And yeah, there were moments too that he annoyed me. There were moments too where I think he's annoyed people nationally. But I also I didn't like what he did with Randy Moss at Green Bay that one time. But at the same time, it's like, all right, one thing I hold against him really. And I never want to hear the Manning still on his feet to Tyree. Never want to hear that again. But at the same time, I look at him and I just say, yeah, he's good. He belongs where he is. And it's the same thing with Cole.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I'm glad he's in the spot, and I'm glad that they re-signed him.
Yeah. If they don't put him in the hall at some point, after he's gone.
Oh, he'll
or
be
even-
in, without question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, whether he's retired or not at that point, I don't care. He needs to be in there. He's just been with this company for so long. He's seen its ups. He's seen the downs. He's had Vince
One of my
yelling in his fucking ear.
One of my favorite Road Dogg jokes when he first joined the company, and this is when he looked at him and says, "You look like Pettingale." That still made me. It still absolutely makes me. It makes me belly laugh, and it was such like a little line, and it was just on a random Monday Night Raw before everything got hot, and he just says, "You look like Pettingale," and I'm just like,
Yep. All right. We have 3 more. I'm gonna kill one. I'm gonna go to the more controversial one now because I don't want to end on a sour note.
oh boy,
Hey, you wanted this.
I did.
So this one was King
Needs to be touched
MDM.
on.
Yep. This one is by King MDM. Undertaker and Batista's legendary feud reignite, this time in the world of politics. A couple of days ago, Batista posted a video on his Instagram mocking Donald Trump and expressing support for Kamala Harris. Last night, this post was 3 days ago. Obviously, everybody knows about the Undertaker interview at this point, so we're not going to dive into all the ramifications of that. We'll touch on some. Last
I still have
night,
to listen to that.
at the time, yeah, me too. Honestly, Trump was a guest on Undertaker's podcast. I think that's the best way we can sum this up. Is neither of us will just watch this shit even. Both Taker and Kane showed support for Trump and took shots at Batista. And he goes on to ask, whose side of the feud are you on? And listen, let's be real. All right. Before we even go into the particulars here, all right. There are
This is
644 reacts to this post.
Yes.
854 comments, 69 shares.
Yes.
Okay. Let's again just focus for a second. He literally is clickbaiting everybody. Nobody gives a shit
Clearly.
about the fact that this is about Undertaker and Batista. This
Clearly.
is not about Undertaker or Batista at all. At all.
Yes. Yes.
These are political statements by public figures.
Yes.
Okay. One is in favor of a Democrat, one is in favor of Republican. That's it. There's nothing else to decide
No.
here in a feud between 2 wrestlers.
No.
Or
there
3
isn't.
if you include Glenn Jacobs Kane.
So let me point this out because there's been a lot of talk and it's been like this now for many months, not only with The Undertaker, but also with Hulk Hogan and a few others because of certain people that they align with. Look if I stopped liking someone because I disagreed with the point of view that they had, I would have no friends in my life.
I think it's still.
And I, maybe, probably you.
Well, that's
but I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying.
It would just be me and you the whole time, and we'd just be like, wow, no one else talks to us. I know, I wonder why.
Sure, both miserable pricks and assholes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just but that's the way I look at it, because I cannot sit there and say to someone, I am going to stop liking them because of the person that they endorse. It's stupid. It's stupid to also come out and stop liking someone or a character that person played, because that person played a character that is not endorsing Kamala Harris or Donald Trump.
Right.
Hulk Hogan is not endorsing Donald Trump.
Terry Bollea is.
Batista is not endorsing Kamala Harris. Dave Batista is. The Undertaker and Kane are not endorsing Donald Trump. Mark Calloway and Glenn Jacobs are endorsing Donald Trump.
Well, let's play devil's advocate for a second, because I see what you're trying to do, obviously. I had this conversation with a coworker earlier about the whole thing, right? They have not watched it either. We both already attested we didn't watch it. Do I care, ultimately? Not really.
I will probably, because of the fact of the shock of why is he doing this with The Undertaker? Like, that's that's the one thing that I'm like coming from this. I'm just like, I don't.
That's the whole thing. It's like, people are gonna be like, okay, the character disconnect, and I get that. But even aside from that, right? Like, you kind of touched on it about if you had, if you were basically alone on an island, almost, if you had no friends because you disagreed with all their points of view. This is the same shit too.
I know.
I'm able to separate the fact that the Undertaker and I probably disagree in politics.
Yes.
Am I going to stop talking to him for it? Well, fuck, if
No.
I talked to the Undertaker, then no, I wouldn't. But at the same token, I'm able to appreciate that. I'm able to understand that.
I'm not going to talk to The
care.
Undertaker, one of my favorite wrestlers ever,
Yeah.
because
he talked to Donald Trump for an hour.
Because he talked to Donald Trump for an hour. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. That's the
For one
thing.
thing, you're letting me talk to The Undertaker, but I can't talk to him about politics.
Exactly.
Fine.
Exactly.
Fine.
Yeah. And listen,
I don't give a shit.
Let's say the shoe's on the other foot. Let's say it's Dave Batista. I don't care. I'm able to separate the personal politics of one person to another, to another, to another. And if they think that Donald Trump is their best chance of the presidency, they're open to that opinion. If they feel that way about Trump or Kamala or RFK if he didn't drop out like an idiot, whoever, it doesn't matter to me. Maybe they pull up, Bob Dole's skull, and I'll vote for that, man.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole. Key with the Futurama reference. But, again, I don't care, right? Like, it shouldn't be a primary issue whether or not Undertaker has Donald Trump on his show. It shouldn't be an issue. Everybody is making it an issue. And the fact that I have to say this, I apologize, but the fact that this whole thing between Batista having one person or showing support for one person and Undertaker doing something different, and then make it about Undertaker and Batista's feud in wrestling, to me is just like, what are you doing? like, why are we doing this? Why do we need to wax political?
Like,
I get it.
Of course,
it's
we know
news
why.
and it's about wrestling, or it's related to wrestling. But at the same token, like, why couldn't it just be like, how did you feel about Donald Trump being on The Undertaker? Why did we have to make it about a
it's-
wrestling feud again? There's no feud here. They disagree
There's
on
none.
politics. Big fucking whoop. Why are we making that a story? Why is that then made a secondary story to the initial story?
They
Like,
still
who
should have
gives a shit?
WrestleMania. They still should have headlined WrestleMania 23.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that, but that's not
Like
relevant.
that I'll say. Like if they want me to, the only I'll say the positive thing to both of them. You both should have WrestleMania 23. You both should have headlined. Fine. That I'll show you the positive thing. But there's really no negative things I'm going to talk about it either, because I really don't want to talk about it. I'm just stating at this point that because I'm not going to talk about politics, and this is not really a political discussion, in my opinion,
No, I don't.
because it's not. I'm not trying to make it to be. I don't want it to
He
make it to
interviewed
be.
somebody.
Yes,
The person he
what
interviewed
I'm
just happened to be a nominee for president.
exactly,
I don't care.
and also a wrestling fan and a WWE Hall of Famer.
And somebody who hosted
boot.
WrestleMania 2 years in a row. Back in
Yes,
the
he
day,
did,
Too.
and has attended many, and was a part of WrestleMania 23.
Correct.
Which also the Undertaker won the world title at. So there's history there.
Yep.
And they could have had a discussion most of the time talking about the Undertaker's career, for all that matter, which is kind of why I want to check it out. Not because of the political discussion they're going to have, because I really don't want to hear it. But it's also the same discussion if Batista was going to have a discussion with Kamala Harris. I wouldn't want to listen to it either. About politics, anyways. That's the thing that the narrative that I'm just trying to push out to people. Because I really don't want this to be I can't support the Undertaker, and everybody goes into like a mass fire sale of stuff, and they have to have purge every piece of Undertaker
So-
thing that they have.
Before you even say what you're going to say, right? Because I know what you're about to say. So before you say that, you can just make this point, right? At the end of the day, it's somebody he fucking interviewed.
Exactly.
Like, let it be. And
Exactly.
there's people like, and the reason I'm saying that is this, specifically this part right here, right? You haven't watched it.
No.
I haven't watched it. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the outrage are people that either are not or currently will not watch it.
Probably.
So are there stories out there about what was discussed? Yeah. I haven't even read them yet. I want to make my own fucking judgments. Right? If you're reading that shit and you haven't watched it, don't complain about it.
Right.
You want to watch it and then tell me everything it was about and what was discussed, we'll talk about it. But until then, don't try to sit there and complain about it. That's my biggest issue with the whole situation. Because you and I are admitting we haven't watched it. There's some desire there to watch it. Just, I want to wait. Because again, I want to form my own fucking decision. If it's political and it's not your cup of tea, then stop fucking watching it.
Exactly.
Because there are people out there that are going to try to watch it. Oh, he said something political, I got to turn it off. If that's the case, then fine, be my guest. But don't sit there and complain about it, because you know what you're watching when you see somebody interview somebody else when they are the current Republican nominee for president in an election year. You kind of know that might come up. So if it's not for you, I still tell you, try first, and then if you still can't get through it, fine. But then don't complain about it. And that's my biggest thing is, oh, well, he interviewed him, period. What's the interview about then? Tell me.
That's the best way, I think, to end this. The absolute best way.
I know there are people out there that feel that way, though.
I know there is, and I know that there's people out there that it's just like that it really bothers them, and I understand it does, but I also understand why you also need to take a step back and think to yourself, I love the character, but this is the person, and I have to separate the man for the person from the character, and that's something that people need to realize.
Well, listen, to your point, yeah, 100%. Listen, we talked about this with him. We talked about this with Hogan. There is that separation that you feel for the character. Terry Bollea is kind of not a great person. Mark Calloway, I've heard different things. Ultimately, it doesn't faze me or detract me from what they have done for the business.
Perfect example. but 20 years ago when the Boston Red Sox won the World Series the first time, Kurt Schilling went from there after they won, and he was up in New Hampshire or other states and
Or Rhode
and-
Island.
yeah, or he was.
Glad you picked that up.
But he was endorsing George W. Bush and doing campaigning for him and things of that nature after he won the World Series. And that didn't make me stop hating him. It was other shit that he did that I was just like,
Well,
what the fuck?
you know what I was going to say is, to
But
that example, Tim Thomas, the same thing. Not showing up at the president's kind of whatever parade. I
oh,
guess you
but he
wanna call
got
it.
he got vilified more than what Schilling did for that.
Yeah,
Like, he
no,
got
and I totally
vilified
agree.
a lot more.
I totally agree.
A
But
lot
that's
more.
my point. Is that I didn't hate him for that. I hated him for other shit he did. But a lot of people vilified Tim Thomas.
And he's the reason you got a cup.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's such a big
He's
deal.
the fucking reason
Everybody knew that.
you have the cup.
It would be like Tom
Like,
Brady
that's-
doing it. Honestly,
Because it's not Tuukka Rask, it's not Swayman. Tim Thomas is the fucking reason you have the Stanley Cup.
well, dude. Again, that's what I'm
And-
saying. If the roles were reversed, right, it was Tom Brady, people would have
Yeah.
vilified the shit out of him for that, dude. Because everybody that paid attention to hockey and sports knew that fucking Tim Thomas won that cup that year.
He did, and Brady the year I think Brady no-showed the some of the White House visits. Like he wasn't. I don't think. I forget which ones he didn't go to, but there was one of them he skipped.
I think it was because he was with like Giselle or something, and then nobody gave a shit after that.
Plus, it's like I've been here fucking 6 times already. Jesus,
Yeah, that's true.
I really need to come back. Like, come on. I mean, probably especially that the first 3 out of 4 years. It's like because you're, it's just the Bush administration where at least with the second three-peat, it's like, well, I got the Obama one, the tail end, and then
Yeah.
oh wait, now the Trump one, shit.
Donnie boy.
All right, let's see how this one's gonna go. This could be fun. But yeah, it's if you let your life get sucked into politics that much, where you stop liking someone that you used to like because you disagree with them politically, you really need to look at yourself in the mirror and start to realize that that's fucking called life. Like you're going to run into people. You're going to disagree with your parents. You're going to disagree with your brothers. You're going to disagree with your sister. You're going to disagree with your cousins, aunts, uncles, teachers, bosses, coworkers, the guy who fucking pumps your gas, the guy who like sells you your drugs. Everything. You're going to have a disagreement with them at one time or another. I'm not talking about drug dealers. It could be a dispensary too. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to point that out there, folks. But you might have a disagreement with someone. It's just that's what it's life. That's what's gonna. I have him all the time with him, including today.
I was just fucking around. I didn't expect you to respond to that. Anyway,
Well, no, it's just the fact that I was annoyed when he was just like, when I'm like, it's probably gonna be the Yankees. When it was just like, oh, I'm gonna have to save that. So I know that if the Yankees lose, I'm gonna have to deal with it, and it's just like I hate you so much.
hey man, just
Like-
Barbie wire all the way around.
Pretty much, I guess. Barbie wire. That's all we need today. Barbie wire.
Yep.
We have a new
Yeah.
slogan here on the program, folks.
Yeah, I'll have to clip and meme that somewhere else. Yeah, I just you know what?
You know how you meme it? Did you?
already sent
So
the
how
memes.
did you? Well, I was wondering if you already did one for.
Oh, I'd have
like-
to sign out and sign back in and everything. I'm not
Oh,
going
I'd
to show
have
that
to
right now.
Never mind.
Yeah,
I'll have to
I'm
go
not-
back to it.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? We'll
I'll
debut it in the next show. I think.
yeah, I'll meme it somewhere. Barbie
Yes.
wire.
Yes.
Just it's probably what you think it is, even though you don't want it to be.
No.
Oh God. Yeah. For this whole thing, listen, I'll kind of close this part with I don't watch or listen to every podcast, and I know a lot of people do. If you've never caught the Undertaker podcast, I recommend it, especially as a wrestling fan. I totally recommend it. Obviously, I will be 100% honest though. I don't watch every episode, every show. I just don't. I don't have the time for it. I don't actively seek it out. And a lot of people catch like the YouTube shorts, the reels of it. Sometimes that's how I watch the show. So for those of you that don't really watch it or listen to it, you're probably not going to miss much by missing this. If you want to hear what a train wreck is, I don't know what it is, but I've heard. I'd recommend it. Some people might think it's a train wreck because he's on their period. Again, so be it. Like, form your own opinions. That's peace and love and form your own opinions. We do have one more here real quick. Because I don't want to end on a sour note, and this one should be quick anyways. KO needed to turn heel. The nasty, slimy Kevin Owens is what WWE needs. KO Cody will be feud of the year if it gets proper time, and we might even get KO as champ. If we are lucky, because Cody isn't interesting as champ. Give me what I want. By the gold
shut
standard.
the fuck up. Oh my god, I'm tired of fucking hearing it.
You know, it's funny.
He's not interesting as champion.
One
Shut
of the posts
the fuck
I killed,
up.
One of the posts I killed earlier was somebody else saying that they appreciated him as world champion. So take that for what it is, and differences of opinions between posts. But I don't think Cody has been not interesting.
No,
And I hope this forms a feud between him and Gunther, because holy shit, this is going to be magic.
it is going to be magic. It's going to be fantastic. Like, look, every match that he has been in has been excellent. He has been a tremendous world champion as far as defending the title is concerned.
100%.
As far as a workman's world champion, he has been excellent. Has the stories been there?
No.
Not at first, no. I feel like now things are really starting to kind of pick up steam because we really have no idea what his direction is going to be after like Gunther.
After Crown Jewel.
After Gunther. So it's just you're wondering what's Survivor Series going to look like. What's the Rumble going to look like? What's the Mania going to look like? Like all this intrigue.
Well,
Because you know it's going to be big. You know what he's going to be involved in. It's going to be Roman 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be Rock. It's going to be both. We don't fucking know.
probably both.
And I think it's just this argument, though, of just, he's not interesting. I think, again, it's people just having all these high expectations that this thing is going to be world changing. And I'm telling you, and I've been telling you, and everybody else here has been telling you, and everybody else on everything that I've heard should be saying the same thing repeatedly over and over again. You need to give this time. Like you do. Like you just do.
I
Like
don't disagree.
Mm.
I don't disagree with you because we've discussed this, right? However, I have a counter argument, right? Here's the counter. Every fan is used to something, whether that be AEW fans, WWE fans, whatever. And the reason I say it this way is because there's obviously a difference between what a fan might expect from a champion in AEW, especially Bryan Danielson was your last champion. Just throwing that out there.
Bryan Danielson, you mean?
I mean this guy.
Oh, that's Danny McDanielson.
Yes.
Danny McDanielson, sorry. You're used to maybe a certain style, certain wrestling, and Swerve, before that, obviously. But everybody was used to Roman for like 3-4 years.
Yes.
They expect a high-profile storyline in one of these things. And Cody really didn't have that. He had a little bit with AJ, you could argue. And then everything after that was kind of thrown together, it felt like. And not for nothing, but he wasn't always cooking. He had a struggle feud with Brock Lesnar, because that didn't happen all the time either.
Right.
It happened for like 4 months, but it dragged because Brock was barely on television. Cody had to do all that by himself, basically. He got no help from fucking Brock Lesnar.
It's true.
And you could make the argument that even when it was him and Roman, he really didn't have help from Roman either. Yeah, there were those times far away or close to Mania, those 2 years, but that was it. then he had to go through that feud with Brock Lesnar that just dragged on. Then he was tag champs with fucking Jey Uso. Because people like to forget that that actually happened for a few months. And it's like, come the fuck on. He has not had a consistent feud for a long time. Where you literally just got off a long-term feud with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, I guess, to go back to that. And that was great. Cody has not had that since he's been back with WWE. You could make an argument, maybe him and Seth Rollins, but even that, because he hurt himself, probably might be viewed a little bit differently now versus had he not been injured. We'll never know. I just think it's so tough.
They also don't have a lot of 3 matches anymore. Like the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre one, obviously. But,
Right.
God, I remember back in the day when these PLEs would just stack up and it would just be like
Yeah.
rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch. They don't do that much anymore. Where they have like a 3-match like feud or something like that. It's usually after 2 and that's it.
Right.
And
So hold on. So let's liken this then at that point, right? Just real quick to what's going on with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, right? The reason I want to jump in here is because they already have now a segue with Raquel and Liv. So I feel like that works, right? Like, okay, you drop back the whole Liv thing, you put Raquel Rodriguez in front of her, and now it's just like, you'll probably have a 3rd match at some point, but it ain't going to be right now. That feels like a Mania build already at this point. That's how well they've built the storyline and the lanes. Yeah, as Dan is stuffing his face. I stopped. I guess he was expecting me to drone on a little bit longer.
yeah, I was hoping you were, but
I tried.
luckily I was able. No, but you're right. I mean, there's definitely going to be another matchup down the line. They're not going to do it now, currently, which I think is for the best for both parties.
Oh, definitely.
Because it's just let Liv be able to kind of breathe here.
Well,
have
they
like
need to
a
build
decent
Raquel back
run.
up too.
They do.
It serves a lot of purposes.
They also need to get Rhea built up too and make her more. Yeah, because you kind of got to get her separated from this Dominic thing completely, and let her kind of be able to let her kind of breathe on her own a little bit.
Or she
You can
needs
go
to
back
just
to it, but
do
you
the
just need to be
intergender
able
match
to breathe
finally.
it. Yeah, where she just kills him,
Yeah.
and we all rejoice.
We all lived happily ever after again.
And Dominic's spine was broken.
The end.
Children
Oh,
rejoiced.
hold on. Forgot I had that.
And Rhea broke Dominic's spine that day. The crippled walked. The children rejoiced. The women were all happy. They stood tall. They stood tall, hoisting Rhea in the air on their shoulders.
Oh, shit.
They decapitated Dominic, and the children started kicking his head down the street.
Oh, man.
Rhea just it ends up like Predator. Rhea just takes his spine out and the head comes off, and she's just whipping it around like a chain. That's his finishing move. It's fantastic.
I never thought I would get much use out of that
Fatality.
sound. Yeah, for sure.
That literally should be the match with her and Dominic. It should be. It should just be like the referee. It should just be the guy from Mortal Kombat. Fight! Flawless victory.
I never thought I would get much use out of that soundbite. Holy fuck, was I wrong? Amazing.
Literally, he's going to be like Bane from Dark Knight Rises. Just, I will break your body! And his brack is destroyed. Exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. I want to actually bring it back to this post. It's funny. I I do agree that KO needs a little bit of a refresh. But I feel bad for, the fact that Gold Standard wrote this when it says KO and Cody will be a feud of the year, when it's very obviously not going to be against
Probably not
Cody.
this
It's going to
year.
be freaking, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton, yes.
I think it's funny that's the case. This was 3 days ago, so that would have been after Friday, where they have to break up with the fight, or Randy comes in looking for him, whatever. It's just like, come on, guys, it's definitely not going to
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I think whoever it is, it's obviously be Randy first, but it's going to be a great feud, and I do think that what I said is true. That KO needs a little bit of a refresh at this point, anyways.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, and I think I think KO will be fine. Like, and I think, especially too, that he's re-signed with the company, because there was a legitimate concern that he was not going to be sticking around, because of course, he was going to draw interest from other companies.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's got friends in high places and other companies. But he wants to stay where he's at. So good on him. But also at the same time, I think they got to be able to produce. And they haven't. KO has criminally gone without a really good championship reign, like a world title reign.
Yeah.
He had that one for a brief moment, 2016, 2017. But he never really, I felt like, had a follow-up. And that's kind of, I mean, mind you, he's been booked high on the card. He got Steve Austin to come out of retirement for a WrestleMania main event, which was huge. And, he got a WrestleMania event again with Sami Zayn against the Usos. So, I mean, he's always been put high on the card, but I also feel like it's just like he should have some more world titles under his belt, I think, at the end of the day.
I agree. I think it's tough when they moved him from Raw to SmackDown.
Yes.
I think he could have been a legitimate face on that brand. And when they drafted him to SmackDown, I was kind of like, why?
Yes.
Because it was for a trade for somebody. I think it was Gunther, if I'm not mistaken. Gunther one or something like that. I don't remember at this point,
Right.
obviously. But, again, it was like, why? Just keep him on Raw. You had Seth Rollins out for an extended period of time. You had CM Punk out for an extended period of time. You now are going to have CM Punk and Drew McIntyre out for an extended amount of time.
Right.
And granted, you could make money with this feud with Seth and, Bronson Reed. But, at what point don't you have room for a KO? Especially on a fucking 3-hour show.
No, it's true.
It never made sense to me. But, I think he's going to have, hopefully, what will end up being a high-profile feud with Randy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be like, CM Punk fucking Drew McIntyre version on SmackDown, honestly. They could make it very similar to that. But here's hoping to a great feud, because I do think that KO needed that refresh. But I know, looking at the time, we're about time on this episode of The Scroll.
I think we are. It's good to bring this back every so often to kind of get a chance for everybody on PWW on Facebook to kind of get their day in the sun a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to remember, guys, it's all in trying to be good fun. Well, some of you, I think, need to be maybe see a doctor or something. I don't know. Some of your point of views, it's just like you're not thinking straight, especially Manny. Come on, Manny. Like, really? Like, really? Come on. You come up with something better than that.
It might, I don't know. There might be zero.
Might be zero
Exactly,
things he
Dave.
comes up with that are better than that.
So I want to thank everybody for listening for PWW Talks, our edition again of The Scroll, bringing it back. Thank you, Mac, for being our narrator this week with this program.
All good. All good.
All right.
All right.
Well,
everybody.
thank you again for listening, and we will see you all next time here on PWW Talks.